Good morning and aloha. Welcome to another weekly update. Um, I'm just constantly admire our students this year about how resilient they are and their ability to pivot. Now, um, you know, many of us spent our formative years growing up in a time that was very different than what we're dealing with today. And these kids today, this brief time in middle school, which clearly I think is extremely important, and have chose to spend my time here. These kids have spent it in a global pandemic, and they have continuously needed to pivot and change. And I'm just inspired every day by their ability to really embrace that. And, we have asked them to pivot and wear a mask, and they're all doing great at that. And, I continue to update and look at that school status page, and it does seem that things are trending in the right direction. And so I am, really optimistic that, you know, we will very soon be able to take off our masks and be able to see each other's smiles again and that kind of stuff. And, it is really, these students have a superpower when it comes to their ability to pivot and to adapt to those situations. And so I really admire that in them. And so I will put a link to that Center Grove status page in this Parent Square. The thing I'm watching, though, is that does seem to change. And so yesterday, it was at 19, and today it's at 18. And I think what's important to remember is that current positive cases, there are kids who are getting well, and there might be kids who are getting sick. And so that number is going to kind of fluctuate quite a bit. And so, we have to be willing to pivot on that as well. So our students seem to be able to do that better than I can. And again, that's something that I'm really admire in them, and look to them for inspiration in that. So I really appreciate that from my students. As far as in science this week, we are finishing up a couple labs, again, practicing that measurement and data analysis of that data that we collect. I will do some review when we come back from Labor Day weekend, and we'll then take our first EL quiz or test, or unit test, or however you want to describe that. Those are done in two parts. So there is a Canvas quiz, which will be made up of multiple choice questions and matching questions and that type of stuff. And then there'll be a written response or short answer part that they'll do, on paper. A lot of times that written response is more skill based, meaning they actually have to do something like, measure a line or measure length and width to solve for area and that kind of thing. So those are kind of skill based. And as a parent, what you'll want to know is those scores show up in Skyward as two separate scores. So there'll be one that's kind of a Canvas quiz, which is, thought of as kind of the multiple choice part of that. And then there'll be a written response or short answer part that'll be a different part of that. So be looking for that in Skyward next week. And then in honors biology, we're continuing to learn about those, four different types of macromolecules. And so this week, we did carbohydrates, nucleic acids, and then, fats and lipids. Next week, we'll be doing proteins, enzymes, and then start the review. So, this is a topic that I have a passion for when it comes to, nutrition and wellness. So I, kind of nerd out on this kind of stuff and, relate a lot of it to nutrition and, what would be good choices on those types of things in that biology class. So, you know, I really appreciate, all the support that we get here at Middle School North from our caregivers and students. I think it's important that we all understand that, in-person learning is what we want for all of our learners. We want them here, we want them in person, and we want them learning. And, all the decisions that we're making are trying to be able to do that in a safe, secure environment. And so, deeply appreciate all you do to help support that. And as always, if you have any questions for me, please reach out. You can, send an email. You can put a comment on this post. All of that really helps us feel more appreciated, and even just a little amount of encouragement really keeps us going. So thank you so much.